This man is the only word that I can describe without being dramatic is the devil.
The trial of the man accused of killing a St. Louis police officer is winding down after nearly 2 weeks. What we can expect in the courtroom this morning.
The wave of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses spreads to St. Louis University. How things unfolded there, plus reaction from the Jewish community in St. Louis and Congress.
Our rain chances really rev up as we head through the next couple of days. We'll track how much rain's on the way even through this weekend.
Paying parents for driving. The family's eligible for a $75 gas gift card this morning.
Ground ball, Cardinals win it on the first pitch.
Redbird fans may be seeing red this morning, why many won't be able to catch some Cardinals games through Comcast Xfinity.
This is Today in St. Louis, focused on you.
Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, May 2nd. I'm Michelle Lee.
And I'm Cindy Stallworth. Rennie Knott is off this morning for his birthday, by the way.
Yay!
Happy 60th. Rennie, I hope he's sleeping in too.
I bet he's watching. He usually does.
Well,
He can't miss the forecast.
Yeah, I know. He's probably on Twitter too right now. All right. Well, as we get started with the day, you have to grab that umbrella because storms are rolling in. Anthony's been tracking them. Anthony, what do you see right now?
Well, we are dry right now. The evening hours, that's when storms are expected into tonight. So when you head home from work and school, tonight those showers will get going. But right now we're dry. You can see the beautiful clouds over downtown. The sun coming up. Sunrise right now at about 6:02. So we have thunderstorms west of us this morning. There was a severe thunderstorm watch in Kansas. It looks like that's been expired, but you see the showers and storms marching this direction, and that's what we will be keeping an eye on this morning. Areas west like Bowling Green, Herman, Rolla, you will perhaps have the showers first this afternoon, but in St. Louis, it's tonight when the sun goes down. So your morning drive, good to go by 9 o'clock, 71 degrees, green lights for your morning commute. High temperatures today in the mid-80s. All right, Gary Frank is in this morning once again for Paul Cook, keeping an eye on the roads. Good morning, Gary. What's happening outside right now?
Yeah, we have a couple of slow spots, specifically right now coming in on 70 eastbound. That's really the only spot here. The big picture shows it's quiet everywhere else, but 70 eastbound right before 64, that's been the slowest spot that we've been monitoring as we look at what's going on. I got a different camera view. You can see how things are slower but moving here as we look at a different view of it. The other side of it, the brake lights are certainly a little bit more impressive, but even as you look at this stretch, which is not as significant as it was, so hopefully that incident is causing less issues, now up to about 32 miles an hour in some cases, but it's been as low as 14, so at least it's improving here from that standpoint. But when you look at the backup, I mean, we've got, you see that red traffic data just goes away, so things are improving there. We'll have another look at that as it continues to get better and anything that develops over the rest of the 6 o'clock hour.
Thanks, Gary. This morning, the nearly 2-week trial of a man accused of killing St. Louis police officer Tamaris Bohannon will wind down. Our Travis Cummings is live downtown with a recap before a jury decides on Thomas Kenworthy's fate. And Travis, you say there's been a major development in this case.
Yes, Sydney, right now we are live at the Carnahan Courthouse where just hours ago a major point was reached in this case. A forensic psychologist with the state ultimately believes that Thomas Kenworthy's mental health is all fake. Let's take a listen here. Let's look at this map. Kenworthy is accused of shooting and killing St. Louis officer Tamaris Bohannon along Hartford Street back in 2020, not far from Grand Boulevard and Tower Grove Park in South St. Louis. Prosecutors say he also shot and wounded another officer and a homeless man before he forced a couple out of their home at gunpoint. He then barricaded himself, leading to a 12-hour standoff with police. This morning, his defense attorneys are still seeking a not guilty verdict by reason of mental defect. But the state psychologist's testimony about her interview with him last year revealed a different opinion.
The defendant presented with a very theatrical, dramatic, what felt like a performance at the beginning of the interview. I've worked for 12 years at an inpatient psychiatric hospital. I've conducted almost 1,300 forensic evaluations of individuals, many of whom have severe mental illness, and that presentation was atypical.
After closing arguments, the jury will get the case. In the next half hour, other key testimony that could sway jurors. Live downtown, Travis Cummings, 5 on your side.
All right, thanks so much, Travis. We do want to get to some breaking news right now at 6:05 this morning. You are watching law enforcement officers detain and arrest pro-Palestinian protesters on UCLA's campus. Right now, it is just after 4 o'clock California time. A standoff started hours ago overnight when police deemed the encampment an unlawful assembly and ordered protesters to disperse or get arrested. Now, we don't know until things have calmed down how many, of course, have been arrested or the consequences they might face from law enforcement or from the school. But again, this is a live look from Los Angeles this morning from UCLA.
Well, as that situation develops, in complete contrast here, St. Louis University students are waking up to a quiet morning. But just 12 hours ago, hundreds marched through campus chanting against the war in Gaza.
From the sea to the river, this road.
Unlike other protests at WashU and beyond, police officers only watched instead of making arrests. During the protests, we spoke with many about why they were there.
This is community. This is what solidarity looks like.
As a Muslim woman, it is essential for me to show support from my brothers and sisters because my brothers and sisters has been under the war, under occupation for the past 75 years.
We also spoke with members of the St. Louis Jewish community about how they feel about the pro-Palestinian protests happening around town.
I mean, they'd be calling for it to happen overseas, but the fact that people were calling for it here in our community, that's just, that's out of line. And if we're going to talk about what's appropriate and what isn't, and what's a peaceful protest and what isn't, calling for violence is not a peaceful protest.
Well, this morning we are looking at a letter from the ACLU being critical of Israel or any other government cannot constitute harassment. This just hours before the Senate could take up an anti-Semitism bill. So we're taking, of course, a live look at the Capitol, where the House passed a bill to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses. The bill defines anti-Semitism as a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Opponents say it does overreach free speech. St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones is reacting to the recent local protests, and to read her response, text the word protest to 314-425-5355. That is where you will find all of our coverage. Overnight, authorities uncovered the body of another worker who was killed when the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed in late March. His name was Miguel Angel Luna Gonzalez, and he was 49 years old. Here's what we know. This is a live look at the ship and the bridge wreckage. The release from the Unified Command reveals the investigators found his body inside a red truck. Now, that bridge collapsed on March 26 when the Dolly cargo vessel lost control and crashed into it. The cleanup will cost millions of dollars, but officials do plan to completely reopen the major shipping port by the end of the month.
All right, as you send the kids off to the bus stop this morning, we do have dry weather out the door, 60s area wide. We will have a warm, breezy day today, 86 the high this afternoon, with storms developing tonight.
And SLPS wants to fill up your tank for taking your child to school. What you need to know about this program happening right now.
Our pastor, Father Sebastian, said to the Archbishop, no, I want to stay open, and it was ultimately the Archbishop's decision.
This morning, one community is fighting to keep their school open after the Archdiocese announced it will close. What we learned about their plans overnight.
And let's take a live look from Queenie Park. Hi, everyone. We can see a lot of people standing outside this morning, but you know what? We are talking about so many things happening right there. We're going to tell you about that a little bit later in the newscast. In the meantime, expect a warm, dry day ahead, but at night it could change.